during the first intermission on the TSN panel, a conversation came up about Zach Hyman making the Canadian Olympic team in 2022.
Yes.
I think we have gone completely crazy here. We love Zach Hyman. Yeah. I love Zach Hyman. Lepore loves Zach Hyman. Leafs Nation loves Zach Hyman. We know all the amazing things he brings to the table.
He writes children's books.
He writes children's books too. This guy does it all. I mean, you want him to date your daughter. I know he's married and has a kid, but you want him to date your daughter. Okay, he's like the perfect person, Zach Hyman, okay? But Lepore, what the hell are we doing here?
Oh my
saying
God.
that he should be on the Canadian Olympic hockey team. What is going on, man?
The amazing thing to me is that, okay, so he's had a great season. At the end of the day, the guy's got 12 goals, 12 assists, 24 points in 37 games. I mean, those are nice numbers. He had a great season. But to have that discussion, if the panel would have had a discussion and said, you know what, does Zach Hyman belong in the conversation to be on Team Canada? Sure, the guy's having a good season. You can have a conversation as to whether he should be in the discussion. But if I remember correctly, the numbers, Dreger put it at a 60% chance, was it? And O'Neill put it at 100. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So a 100% slam dunk that Zach Hyman will be on Team Canada, a team that is usually top to bottom, a Hall of Fame ballot. Like, just looking back at guys who have not made Team Canada. Last Olympics, Claude Giroux did not make the team. Some people pointed to his relationship with Crosby as to why he didn't make the team. But at the end of the day, he didn't make the team. PK Subban won a Norris Trophy. And if I remember correctly, he was on the taxi squad.
Yeah, he was the 7th defenseman on the team.
Marty St. Louis. That year with St. Louis, it started that whole riff with Yzerman. Was that like the year after he won the Art Ross or something? And he didn't
St.
make
Louis was still putting up like
crazy numbers
around that time.
And he only made it after an injury. I forget who got hurt now that I think back. But was it Tavares? Was that another?
Tavares did get. I'm pretty sure he did get injured.
Or was it Stamkos?
I think Tavares had like a leg injury or something.
Yeah, we need to look that because one of them was the World Cup too. Maybe like Stamkos got hurt for the World Cup, or we'll have to look that one up.
And Stamkos, as we know, he's been injured like so many times.
That's why it's all a blur.
It's almost impossible to think back what games he missed at certain points, right?
Yeah, but just with Hyman being on Canada again, like we love Hyman, but again, like looking at numbers, a guy that's got 24 points in 37 games, but he's playing with Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews, which again, that's not his fault. And he's a good player to put with those guys. And we love that line. I don't think that line should go anywhere. I love that line. But to say that he should be on Team Canada is crazy. And here we go, Leafs land, being a Leafs fan. All these conversations, don't tell me it's a coincidence that these conversations are being had when he's negotiating a contract right now.
Ooh, Lepore.
Don't tell me. It even goes into the game. It even goes into the game where every fucking time Hyman would make a nice play, Ray Ferrero's got to go on this rant about how amazing the play was. And it's like, Ray, you didn't notice how, he got a quality scoring chance, but Mitch Marner deked out 3 guys before the puck fell to Hyman. Like that's the guy you should be talking about. And it's that whole Canadiana thing too, with Hyman, where like he works hard, he's in the corners, he grinds, he's big, like we're going all Don Cherry everywhere. But man, like the way they're pumping this guy's tires right now, it's there's that thing in me that like I just want to say to all the broadcasters, do you guys like sit in a huddle and just talk about how you can hurt the Toronto Maple Leafs? Both in the way of like putting pressure on these guys, shitting on them all the time, not making guys want to sign in Toronto. And then when we do have guys playing here, making their lives miserable because, if they have a bad stretch, they're just getting slapped in the face in the media. Or in this case, let's hurt the organization because let's pump this guy's tires and give the agent ammunition so he can just go guns a-blazing when it comes to negotiating that contract and make these crazy comparables. But it's just it
really seems like it sometimes, Lepore.
Oh my God. It's so crazy. Like it's just Leafs. They love it. And or two, like maybe they're smarter than we're giving them credit for because they do the panel and then maybe hockey Twitterland, and by that I mean non-Leafs hockey Twitterland, just goes like, Zach Hyman on Team Canada, would you shut your mouth, you idiots? Like, so maybe it's that, and they're trying to get like a rise out of people. But I'll let you go on a rant about how not elite Zach Hyman is now.
Oh yeah, and like you said, there's always a method to the madness when it comes to content, and TSN knows exactly what they're doing, stirring up a conversation like that in the middle of a Leafs Winnipeg Jets game. But here's my whole take on the Zach Hyman thing, and this just drives me nuts, okay, with hockey fans. You know, we all love that lunch pail guy, right? The blue collar, goes into the corners, works hard, gives it 110% every single game.
Mm-hmm.
But does anyone ever watch Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, the elite players on the team? They do the exact same thing. What do you think Sidney Crosby does? Have any of you ever watched Sidney Crosby play hockey? He's like the ultimate grinder.
He's a grinder. I've heard that from a few like high-end coaches say like Crosby is actually, if you watch him, he's a grinder. He just happens to be the most talented and works the hardest, but his actual style is a grinder. Yeah.
There you go. And I could even look at a guy like Nathan McKinnon. Like,
oh yeah, he's feisty as fuck. Yeah.
Do you think that these guys just hang around the perimeter and they don't try to make things happen, and they don't, you know, they're not tenacious on the puck, and they're not giving it everything they have in terms of winning puck possession, winning puck battles, and making plays happen down low in the dirty areas? That's what makes these guys so good. Yeah. They can do all of these things. So you're trying to tell me that Zach Hyman is going to take the spot of, and even I think of a guy like Mark Stone on the Vegas Golden Knights, who's like considered one of the best two-way forwards in the NHL, you know, always among the league leaders in takeaways and things like that. And on top of that, he's like a 30-goal scorer and point per game player. And you're trying to tell me that Zach Hyman is better than Mark Stone?
Or like in terms of like he would probably have that type of role on a Team Canada, not like Hyman. Yeah,
exactly.
Like,
right.
Put Stone with Marner and Matthews, like score 1,000 goals, right?
Exactly. Just, and then when you think about like, I think about like the centerman on Team Canada, right? So let's say you got McDavid as the 1C, you got McKinnon as the second center. And listen, I know all the you can make a whole team full of centermen and they can play on the wing, right? It's not that difficult when they're elite players and they're all, you know, among the top 30 players in the world, right? But you're telling me Sidney Crosby can't be your third center who kills penalties and plays that defensive role? Like I'll even
say it, like even Tavares. Yeah. Like based on how he's played this year, people would say, "Oh, no fucking way, Tavares can be on the team." John Tavares is better than Zach Hyman. Everyone. Like if you gave Tavares Hyman's responsibilities, he would flourish in those responsibilities. But again, he's just not that. He's not in that role, I guess is the way to put it.
100%. And it's just that thing. It's like, I don't understand why hockey fans sometimes overthink these things. It's like, do you realize how good the elite players are? Like Matt Barzal is probably going to be like the fourth line center on Team Canada.
Yeah, he's bananas.
and look at a guy like Mitch Marner, for example. What does Mitch Marner do? He does the same thing that Hyman does. He kills. Mitch Marner, I would argue, is the Leafs' #1 penalty killer.
Yeah, he's really good penalty
right?
killer.
So you're trying to tell me that Team Canada needs Zach Hyman because of his ability to kill penalties and dig pucks out of the corner. Like, it's just insane. These elite players, whether they're centermen, whether they're wingers, they can do it all. They can play in any role. And we've seen that over and over again. You know, Team Canada winning, you know, Olympic gold, winning the World Cup gold. Like, you got like high-end first-line guys who are being like demoted, let's call it, into like a fourth-line role, and they have to turn into grinders. And guess what? They can do that job better than Zach Hyman, as much as we all love Zach Hyman. So, yeah, it's just one of those things, Lepore. It just makes me shake my head. But again, I understand why TSN is doing it, because then it creates a social media shitstorm, for lack of a better word. You have guys like us going on the GFP podcast talking about it. So
yeah, the line I always love is, and to me, this just demonstrates how some people don't get it, is when they say, "Oh, say Hyman compared to a Marner or a Matthews, what Hyman doesn't show in advanced stats. The elements he bring, they don't show in the metrics." It's like, no, that doesn't make any sense, because like, oh, he does this, it would show in the stats. It's like, if he's grinding and it's effective, it would equal something. There'd be a result out of it. right? And really quickly, with regard to Hyman, it's kind of a broad thing in hockey, and it's funny discussion. I find hockey's a weird sport in the way that guys, like the way they look and their style can appear to be something. Whereas like Hyman, and like I'm not saying like he doesn't work hard or he doesn't skate really fast or something like that, but because of his style of play, like that rough and tumble lunch pail looking player, I think sometimes it can give, not an illusion's a strong word, but it makes it almost appear as they're doing more than they're actually doing.
Yes. Preach, Lepore. Preach.
Yeah, and even on the other side too, like I've said, and people might laugh at this, but like hockey, people who played hockey will know what I mean. Like for example, tucking in your jersey. I always say tucking in your jersey, it makes a player look like smoother and faster. He looks like that like Russian player.
They're like a diva. Like they're like a perimeter player who just plays with skill and doesn't get into the dirty area.
Exactly. Oh, because he tucks in his jersey. Or I even like say Mike Fisher for the Sens, who like I always loved as a player. His skating style, he would pump his arms like crazy, and like his stick was everywhere.
He's working so hard.
He's working, and I'm like, is he actually working really hard and he's actually faster than anyone, or is this style of play? And then even on the flip side too, if a guy's big and lanky, it's like, oh, he's not skilled. No, maybe he is. He just also happens to be big, right? And like I find hockey can create a lot of illusions, like with our brain of like a player being something or not being something. And like with the Hyman thing, I'm sure, and this is probably why these advanced stats come in, where they can actually point to a number and say, no, this is what the guy does. I don't care what it looks like visually. We need a result here. And even I remember when Van Riemsdyk had to switch his number because instead of honoring numbers, the Leafs started actually retiring numbers, and Salming had 21. So Van Riemsdyk had to change his number, and he changed to 25. And I saw him in an interview, and he said he went to 25 because of a suggestion from Lou Lamoriello. Lou said 25 would make him look bigger.
Oh my God. That is like the most Lou Lamoriello thing.
It's so Lou Lamoriello, but once he said that, Bruno, I was like, he's right. It's like, because you see 25 versus like an 11. And then I thought, even like Lindros was
88.
huge. And then you put 88, it makes him from behind look even bigger. And it's like how our eyes play tricks on us. But I find there's a lot of that in hockey compared to other sports. Like say it's baseball. No, the guy had a home run or he didn't. Or say football, it's very like result and number based, yards and whatever. But hockey is sport because there's so many styles of players. I find our eyes play tricks on us with like a skill player versus like a player who works hard, or a player who brings something that he doesn't, or he appears to. It's funny. Hockey's a funny game like that in my eyes anyway.
No, it's so true. And one last thing I'd like to add on this is that a lot of the times we like to label players as being really good at one thing. Mm-hmm. And we sort of not ignore, but we don't realize some of the other things they're also great at. So for example, like we look at Zach Hyman and we're like, wow, he's so great at, digging pucks out of the corner and being, difficult to play against, and he plays so tough. And then we look at Austin Matthews and we're like, oh, he's just a great goal scorer and he's got the best shot. But then you don't realize that no, Austin Matthews is usually the guy digging pucks out of the corner and making plays happen literally out of nothing.
Matthews never loses a puck battle. Like whenever it's like a stick fight, never loses it. No, good point.
It is outrageous how good Austin Matthews is in one-on-one puck battles in terms of just stripping guys, making things happen out of absolutely nothing. When you think of plays dead and, guys are just sort of fighting for possession in the corner, Matthews will lift a guy's stick, make 2 strides and get a shot on net. But we never like to talk about that because we label Zach Hyman as the guy who's doing all the work for Matthews. Well, Matthews apparently just, drinks a cup of coffee in front of the net waiting for Zach Hyman to pass him the puck, right? Yeah. So I think a lot of times in hockey, we like to put guys in certain buckets and we don't acknowledge some of the other great things that they also do. But yeah, at the end of the day, guys, Zach Hyman should not be on Team Canada.
Another example I'll give really quickly, and then we'll wrap it up. I saw that with Kessel because he always had the label of like a sniper, but I was like, he's a great playmaker. Like
100%.
he'd peel off the wall, feed guys. I would get the puck to the front of the net. It's always a sniper. People wouldn't notice how good of a playmaker he was. But anyways,
even like, and one other thing I'll bring, like Connor McDavid, we're like, oh, he's such a great playmaker. And then you look up and you're like, wow, Connor McDavid's a 40 goal scorer. Like he's also like one of the best goal scorers in the world.
That was always the joke with Gretzky. It was like, oh, the greatest goal scorers ever. Well, Mike Bossy and so. Gretzky's got the most goals. Exactly. It's like Wayne, just because Wayne was that. Yeah, it's funny.
It's the perfect example, right? He has like more assists than anyone has points, but then it's like, oh, wait a second. He's also the leading goal scorer of all time. How has every
record. Yeah, exactly. But
unbelievable. Anyways.